Hello everyone and welcome back to More Knowing Wheel, where today we return for episode, I think this is actually episode 80 of the show. Jamie, can we clarify, is it episode 80? Is it episode 81?
I have no idea.
We've lost track of what episode number it is. It might be the Oscar Piastri tribute show. If it is, he hasn't done any Formula 1. It is 81. It is the Oscar Piastri tribute show here this week. It's also, of course, US Grand Prix week. Yes, we're back at the Circuit of the Americas. I don't know about you, but it feels like a long time ago we were at COTA, Jamie, which is weird because, of course, it was just last year.
Yeah, it was only a year ago. It was a very good race last year. So.
It was, yeah, very, very good race, if we remember correctly. But, of course, you've already heard his sweet, sultry tones. Jamie 183 returns once more. How are we doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm, doing well. I'm joined by someone who's not been in the country but very much recently. So it feels like a while since I spoke to you because the last podcast we recorded directly after the race
over a week ago. Yeah, it was. This is the longest I think we've gone without a podcast in quite a while, actually.
Yeah.
I've missed hearing Jamie's voice, but we're back together. The dream team returns once more. I've been spending some time, obviously, out in Switzerland with my new best mate, who I've heard Jamie is quite a fan of.
Yeah, Mr. Zhou Guan Yu, who I've got a friend who went to school with him, so can you beat that?
He knows my name, that's all I can say. He does know my name. I also can tell you he wears the most scuffed shoes I've ever seen in my life.
He's got drip.
No, Jamie,
really,
the shoes I saw him wear were horrendous.
Nah.
And you want to know another interesting fact about Zhou Guan Yu?
What's that?
He can't actually drive in Switzerland.
That's weird. That is...
Because he's got a UK license, obviously, from where he's come from, China, that license is not valid in Switzerland. So he has to get picked up from the airport and taken to the factory, which I think is quite funny. I actually reckon it's just he can't be bothered. Because, he has to drive a car for a living anyway. Why would he have to drive more than he has to? So I reckon he's actually just hoodwinked Alfa Romeo beyond belief.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does not wear good shoes. I give him credit. A lot of his drip is fantastic, but the shoes do need a bit of work from my personal experience.
And
but
you're well versed in these kind of areas, so
I've got drippy shoes, mate. Mainly because I live in the fields, so they're always full of water. But I got drippy shoes. But yeah, I mean, it's been a fun week. Of course, happy to be back though with Jamie once again. Like we said, we got the US Grand Prix this weekend, but we have had more unvelopings from the cost cap, haven't we, Jamie? It's kind of taken over the world of Formula 1 after Max Verstappen was kind of crowned world champion last weekend at Suzuka. Give me an update. What's going on with the cost cap? You apparently know everything that's going on. You know the ins and outs of Red Bulls. Tell me more.
I don't remember claiming that quite, but we knew this around Singapore time, so 3 weeks ago now. Red Bull have spent 5% more than they should have done, and
up to 5%.
Up to 5% more, which is how much? 4 mil, 5 mil?
More than that, about 7 mil.
7
up
mil.
to.
Okay. They've overspent on the cost cap. It's confirmed now. Aston Martin are also have breached it, but only because they reported it wrong, which is very Aston Martin, if you ask me. Red Bull have overspent, but by a small enough amount that they won't, in my opinion, they won't get a harsh penalty. And I think they knew what they were doing, if we're perfectly honest. Red Bull have always been this team to kind of push the boundaries as far as they will go, and beyond the boundaries, up to a point where they're safe. There's no way Red Bull accidentally breached the cost cap. I think they did it deliberately, but knowing that the penalty under 5% was very minimal.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I know we've spoke about this before with other things regarding Red Bull, but it's the only Formula 1 team where deliberately breaking a rule kind of fits their brand, isn't it?
Yeah, they've always been like the bad boys.
You can't see Red Bull as a larger company getting hurt by this at all, because it does kind of suit their renegade vibe, if
definitely.
you will. But I mean, we've seen all sorts of theories going around over the last week or so. Whether it does just turn out they spend £3 million on caviar, who knows?
The catering budget apparently was the thing that tipped over the edge, even though you can kind of say any area of budget tipped over the edge.
Exactly. I mean, again, we've sort of seen theories about whether it's in fact, obviously, Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, I should say, whether they pay for AlphaTauri's catering as well. That's what's tipped them over. I mean, there's so many theories. Apparently, you know, it might be that Adrian Newey's got a shell company in the Cayman Islands that they try and launder money through. We just don't know quite what's going on at the moment. But we do know other F1 teams are not happy about it. And Toto Wolff, of course, this week has been very vocal. You know, sort of saying, you know, even 250k, 500k is a huge upgrade, which could have made the difference for Mercedes. I mean, they would have had it robbed away from them anyway at Abu Dhabi, but it could have made the difference.
He wouldn't have gone to Abu Dhabi if Hamilton could drive properly.
Hey? Can you work that out?
Yeah. I struggle very much to believe that an organisation as big as Red Bull have done this accidentally. I think they did it in the knowledge that the penalty was minimal. It's another fine. But below 5%, it's another fine, which they can just bankroll. So it's not in the spirit of the rules at all. But I would be shocked if they have any repercussions that affect either championship from 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, it's very, very weird, isn't it? Because I think, on the one hand, I mean, what's it now? 7 teams have come out saying they're not happy about the situation. The only teams that haven't come out are Red Bull, funnily enough, Toro Rosso. 6 teams have come out. Sorry, I don't know why I keep calling them Toro Rosso. So Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Williams, and Aston Martin. Now, again, you know, maybe this is more and more about Williams trying to get into bed with Red Bull down the line a bit more. And of course, Aston Martin couldn't file their own books properly anyway, so they look like
they probably didn't file their
hypocrites.
Unhappiness either.
Exactly, they probably would come across as the biggest hypocrites in the world if they didn't. If they did come out complaining about it. But McLaren, I mean, Zach Brown's come out literally a couple of hours ago saying, you know, it's really going to put F1 in a difficult spot. Ferrari, of course, has been very vocal about it. Toto's obviously been very, very vocal about it as well. I also love the theory that apparently there's a mole inside the FIA giving Toto Wolff this information when, wasn't it Ferrari that came out with it first?
Yeah, I saw, like, you know, the meme template of, like, no one ask whatever. It's like no one asked Mercedes how they knew about Red Bull's overspending.
Yeah.
And it's like Mercedes getting it done for Spygate, even though I think it wasn't really from one individual team. It was kind of like a general knowledge that 2 teams had broken the cost cap, and both of them were Red Bull and Aston Martin. So
it's a very, very strange situation, isn't it? Because, I mean, on the one hand, you know, the FIA, if they really want this cost cap to be properly enforced, you throw the book at them. They didn't win the Constructors' Championship anyway last year. They don't desperately need the money, do they? I can't see the FIA taking away Max's championship. You know, that was so controversial in itself anyway. They could try and spin it as kind of a Void Lap 58 type, finally, you know, all that. But I feel like if they opened that can of worms again, it would be an absolute disaster show.
There is not a chance they're going to change.
There is 0% chance that, even as a Hamilton believer, there is a 0% chance that Hamilton will get that world title back. But, you know, do you throw the book at Red Bull? Do you strip them of their Constructors' the P2 and the Constructors last year? Because, of course, it won't really make any difference. Maybe that's what you do. But again, it still feels that a bit half-hearted.
I think the problem is, like, the cost cap is a sporting regulation. So everyone comparing it to the technical regulations of, like, oh, if the front wing's a millimetre too long, you get disqualified. It's like, because that's a technical directive where there are black and white. Like, there's no middle ground. With, like,
but there's a $145 million budget, Jamie.
No, but a sporting regulation.
It's not around $145 million.
The problem with the sporting regulation, it's not like, for instance, the engine parts is also a sporting regulation. You can only use 2 ICEs and 3 control electronics. If you use 4 control electronics, you don't get disqualified from the championship. You get a penalty.
That would be quite funny. Imagine if that was the case, Honda back in the late 2000s just getting banned by round 6 of the year.
But, like, the problem is, because the cost cap is a sporting rule, it's not a black and white disqualification for breaking it. There's a gradual, your penalty is this, unless you break it by loads, and you get more and more penalty, such as the engine regs, where, like, you keep breaking it, you keep getting more and more penalty.
Yeah.
It will be... I'll go out... I'll pin my colours to the mast and say it will be a fine for Red Bull.
Yep.
And nothing else.
I believe you. It will be... I mean, it will get a lot of hate. It will get a lot of hate.
But then Red Bull will lap that up. They won a championship.
Oh, absolutely.
They do not care.
I'm sure Christian Horner's willing to push twice as much money as the fine will be under the table to let him get away with it. But, I mean, it does bring the integrity of the sport into a bit of question again. You know, we sort of spoke about this last year, didn't we? Obviously, after the shambles that was Abu Dhabi, you know, whether companies like Audi and Porsche will look at Formula 1 and go, well, if a championship can be decided on a whim like that, why would we get involved? Surely there's going to be questions raised, and I mean, Audi and Porsche will be looking at it, depending on what the penalty is at the end of the year, and go, do we want to get involved with that, or is it not worth it if things can be manipulated?
Like, F1's always been about looking at the rules and thinking, where can I get an advantage? Red Bull have seen the penalty for a 5% overspend is
but
basically
it's not
nothing.
Specifically, it doesn't say if you overspend by this much, this is what will happen.
Well, they've interpreted
if
the
you
rules
overspend
as that.
But the thing is, it could be World Championship points.
Well, it wouldn't be drivers.
No, it can be World Drivers or World Constructors points. It can be, genuinely. If you read those rules.
They've called the bluff, basically.
Red Bull have pulled the bluff, definitely, and that's why it does make you wonder whether the FIA turn around and, you know what, Max Verstappen's getting a 9-point penalty from last year.
Well, like that. They should give him a 7-point penalty.
What, so it's tied again and he takes it on countback?
Yeah, takes it on countback. That'd be great.
How ridiculous would that be? That would just be pointless. They may as well just give him 6 and really try and screw Hamilton.
6.5. Yeah.
For the sake of it. 6 3/4 points.
Anyway, shall we move on?
It's a crazy, crazy
world. It's been all that F1 has been talking about recently. And actually get back to some racing potentially. Or
what's that, sorry?
Should we move on to some racing or some other news before that?
I mean, there's not a lot of races to talk about, is there? But there is still the interesting conversations about that second Haas and Williams seat. Now, I'm sure Jamie has been absolutely loving life this week because it looks like there is a fair chance that Nico Hülkenberg could end up at Haas next year.
Indeed, and that would be unreal. And I quote from you, a week ago and maybe 2 weeks ago and maybe a month ago, saying there's not a chance Hulk gets that seat.
You're damn right, and I still don't believe there is.
I mean, to be fair, the evidence or like the new news that has come out isn't that convincing if you actually read it and
it's
apply
not concrete by any means.
Text and context to it.
It's just Hulkenberg's been texting me a lot, and that's because he's got nothing better to do with his time.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of phone calls, which is like great. I could call Gunther Steiner if I had his number. It doesn't mean I'm getting an F1 seat.
No, exactly. I mean, you could try. That'd be great for the podcast. Imagine you coming back and telling us that story.
Yeah, that would one up yours a little bit.
Jamie, that is your goal this week. You've got to try and get Gunther Steiner's number and keep ringing him. Okay, you promise?
I'll give it
you are going to update me next week with your Formula 1 gig.
We'll see. But yeah, I genuinely think, like, Haas have no reason anymore to keep Mick Schumacher because he's left the FDA. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they get someone who's not going to trash the car 4 times a year and need a new chassis when they've got no money. And yeah, why not give it to Hulk? I mean, it's not a very long-term solution, but he's a safe pair of hands. He's still got very good pace in him, especially with a full pre-season. I think he has. And it would just be a solid lineup of Magnussen and Hulkenberg. It'd be funny because they don't really get on. But
yeah, it would. I mean, we're gonna have Gasly and Ocon at each other's throats next year. We could have a Hulk and K-Mac. It'd be like Formula 1 EastEnders or something like that next year. I mean, it does really feel like you said, obviously, it is very much a short-term solution. It's almost like Mick Schumacher has gone to Haas early on this year and attacked him with a machete. Their leg is split wide open. Hulkenberg's come along with one of those tiny little plasters you get for your finger and kind of stuck it on the top. That's what it kind of feels like if Hulk gets that gig. I just don't see it as a step forward for Haas. I really do think, I know I've said this for a long, long time. I read a fantastic article, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. McLaren are currently the Formula 1 team with the most American sponsors. I think the number was 26, if I remember off the top of my head. Most teams are between 10 and 20. Haas, if I'm not mistaken, have 4.
Wow.
They desperately need to go all out, guns blazing, American style. They need to slap that car up with US flags all over the place, try and get Logan Sargent in off Williams if he gets enough super license points, and just, I mean, literally fit the car with speakers next year that just belt out Born in the USA.
Bruce Springsteen, Top Gear style.
Steer into that skid. Yeah, exactly. Steer into that skid. You will have so much money being flung at you from Americans that don't know what Formula 1 is and don't know what's going on, it would be the greatest move they could ever make. If I was a board member at Haas, I would be pushing this hard.
Yeah. I don't see them getting Logan Sargent personally.
Nor do I, but they could certainly
there
try.
Are certainly Carlton Herter obviously didn't get the super license.
No.
Didn't get the rights. But there's another American in F2, is it not? I can't remember his name.
It's not Williams, is it?
No, Kellen Williams is Australian or New Zealand.
Australian, which really surprised me. I always thought he was American for some reason.
Yeah, he seems American. Obviously, got Correa in F3. Maybe there isn't another F2 driver.
I don't think there is, not off the top of my head.
It's a shame because, they do kind of need an American driver. Would just like bring in all the sponsors you could ever want. Really.
Or you rebrand Daniel Ricciardo as your American.
Yeah, he'd do a good job as being American because he basically wants to be anyway.
Yeah.
Every time they go to Texas, he's all over
perhaps
it.
Perhaps Callan Williams does as well. Is it Callan or is it Callan?
Callan. I don't know.
I know it's Callan, yeah.
Callan. I don't know.
Callan. Okay. Yeah, I just don't understand. Haas need to steer into that proper big mac and cheese American skid.
Yeah, they should. But it doesn't look like they are. Because
instead they're going to swap out one German fraud for another.
Hulk's not a fraud.
He is.
I know he's got a chance to finally end the most races without a podium record.
Oh, he's not going to do that in a Haas, is he?
Well, you never know.
I do know, though, Jamie.
Yeah, to be fair, ever since he lost his full-time seat, there have been a lot more wild podiums until this year when there haven't been any, really.
Apart from Lando, which I was there for.
Yeah, you were. Wow.
That seems like a very long time ago now.
Yeah, it's an awful long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... This is not me trying to just get under your skin or anything, but I really don't see Hulk as much of a worthwhile upgrade over Schumacher.
I think, in terms of ability, like, it's difficult to say because Schumacher's only...
Yeah.
Like, Hulk, I reckon they would about be the same. I would say Hulk is a bit better, but not massively.
I would say currently, yeah. No, I'm not going to argue with that. Hulk probably would be a quicker driver right in this moment. But we've often seen Mick Schumacher in the second year of Junior Series come on strong, which, of course, next year we aren't going to see major rule changes, so it could really help him out. I just don't sort of... Especially because, let's be fair, you're going to have to pay Hulk more than Mick, I would have thought. I don't know how cheap a date Nico Hulkenberg is going to be next year, but I can't see Mick Schumacher trying to beg for more money.
But then Mick has also... What, is it 3 chassis this year that he's broken by crashing? Like that, I think that's the big thing. They can't afford these massive crashes. And like certainly they had it bad last year with Mick and Mazepin, but this year Schumacher's crashes haven't really slowed down.
They have.
I'm not sure.
He binned it at Jeddah. He binned it at Monaco.
Yeah.
Where else?
There was one in a practice session, was there not? I really don't remember off the top of my head, but
it was so recent, James. Oh well, he did bin it at Suzuka as well, I suppose.
Yeah, he did.
But
yeah,
not
yeah.
so.
I know Gunther basically says we can't afford to have a driver who's going to trash the car all the time. So, yeah.
But I mean, if you put K-Mag and Hulk together, they're just going to trash both cars, Grosjean K-Mag style.
Potentially, but yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one to call. Obviously, I'll be happy if Hulk gets it. If he doesn't, then never want it anyway. It's a Haas.
No, exactly. And I mean, it does open up the other door, doesn't it? Down at Williams, of course, still.
Yeah.
You know, if Hulkenberg gets that Haas seat, and if Logan Sargent doesn't get the super license points, could we see Mick Schumacher down at Williams for a year?
Potentially. I feel like he'd take anything, really, obviously.
Well, it'd be the only thing left.
Yeah, the only thing left. So, yeah, I could see that happening. It'd be a bit curious for Williams, who were very recently Mercedes young team, basically, having a Red Bull Junior and a Ferrari Junior. Although he won't be Ferrari anymore next year.
No.
But,
and I wouldn't be surprised if Alex Albon steps away from that Red Bull camp as well.
Point, isn't he? Yeah, I think it's unlikely that Logan fails to get the super license points. It's possible.
Not that unlikely.
Well, he's third at the minute. He'd have to drop to 6th. It's close in the points, but he'd have to have an absolute nightmare in Abu Dhabi.
But the thing is, in Formula 2, that's the kind of thing you can expect to happen.
Yeah,
especially if you're backing him. He's screwed, mate.
Yeah, he is done. He's yeah. Yeah, I think Logan will get that seat as long as he doesn't massively mess it up. But if he doesn't, yeah, you're not really got many options other than Schumacher.
Yeah, I still believe we're going to see Colton Herta racing Indian Formula 4 over the winter and get into Formula 1 that way. Get 6 super license points by beating up teenagers.
Right, well, that's getting clipped out of context.
Good. But, I mean, yeah, it's all a bit weird and wonderful, isn't it? There's still plenty of bizarre questions are left unanswered in the real world of Formula 1 at the moment. I think that's going to bring us, though, Jamie, to COTA, the US Grand Prix weekend, of course. We look forward to returning to the Lone Star State. But before we do that, I'm going to bring out the quiz for this week.
Here we go.
Let me get up my timer quickly for you.
Oh, you're not even going to do the question before you get your timer up?
No, I'm going to get the timer up first because I feel like you are going to get a lot of these.
Okay.
So, Jamie183, I'm going to give you 1 minute on the clock. There are... how many answers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I've sat up in my chair for this bit.
There's 11 answers to this week's quiz, Jamie. It's pretty simple. You are going to tell me the names of places that have held a Grand Prix in the USA.
Ooh.
Your time starts now.
Okay, COTA.
Yep.
Miami.
Yep.
Caesar's Palace.
Yep.
Detroit. Long Beach.
Yep.
Where else? Oh dear. Oh, Indianapolis, of course.
Yep. I was really worried you weren't going to get that one.
I can picture Keke Rosberg winning somewhere, but I can't remember where it was. This is really hard. How long have I got?
You got 30 seconds.
Okay. Oh, no. I was going to say Indianapolis again. There's got to be some older ones.
Technically, it was there twice, I suppose.
Yeah. Detroit. Dallas.
Yep.
American cities. Are they done in Vegas, or was that Caesar's Palace?
That was Caesar's Palace.
Not Laguna Seca or anything like stupid like that.
Nope.
Purpose-built tracks. There's got to be some
Your
more.
time is up.
Oh, that was really hard. A lot of them are old, aren't they?
The 4 you've got left are old. You will definitely have heard of one of them. You will definitely kick yourself about another 2.
Okay, great.
Actually, sorry, you'll have definitely heard of 2. You'll kick yourself about 1, and the other one I don't think you will have heard of.
Right. Oh, Sebring.
Yep. That's one of them.
Annoying.
You should have got that.
I could have got Sebring.
It only held 1 Grand Prix back in 1959.
Yeah, I knew that.
One of the other tracks you'll definitely know as well.
I'm blank. I don't know.
Upstate New York, very fast circuit, long flowing corners.
Really? I was trying to think of a New York one. Oh, Daytona's not done a race, is it?
No. That's not an
I'm
upstate New York either, Jamie. That's in
Forza.
Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah. What races have we done on Forza? That's all I know.
You know, it is a track on Forza. You're absolutely right.
Oh no. I can't think of anything.
What if I said to you bus stop chicane?
Spa-Francorchamps.
No.
that is Daytona, is it not? The bus stop?
There is a bus stop at Daytona as well. There is also a bus stop at this circuit.
I don't know.
Hosts IndyCar and NASCAR as well. IMSA. The 6 hours of this track. It's got two words in its name.
I'm so clueless. Le Mans.
No. Yep, Le Mans known for its 6-hour endurance race.
I really couldn't
Watkins
tell you.
Glen.
Oh, Watkins Glen. Yeah, I should have got that.
And then there's another city. Begins with a P.
P. Phoenix.
Yep.
Yeah. Could have got.
And the last one that I don't think you would have got because it isn't famous outside the US is Riverside.
No, I wouldn't have got that. That's where Middleton played football though, so could have got that.
Exactly, you should have got that then. So 7 out of 11. It's not a bad score actually, to be fair. I think I could have probably got 9.
Yeah.
I reckon.
I
probably wouldn't have got Riverside. But yeah, Sebring you should have remembered. I'm amazed you didn't actually remember Watkins Glen, to be honest.
No. Yeah.
But of course, Phoenix as well, back when the US was getting 3 Grand Prix a year for a couple of years back in the early 80s. I think Phoenix was the one with a train track over it, or that might have been Dallas. Either way, they were a disaster, weren't they? Because the tracks just kept getting destroyed.
They were just like the pre-Formula E tracks in like the 70s and 80s.
They were 1980 to 1982, if I remember correctly. But of course, you remember the GOAT that is Caesar's Palace.
Caesar's Palace
at
around
the
a
end
car
of the day,
park. Lovely.
Which is, of course, the most important one. Shall we jump then, Jamie, into US Grand Prix predictions? I mean, a high-speed circuit, a lot of high-speed corners.
Red Bull can secure the Constructors' Championship.
They can secure the Constructors'
Depending
Championship
on
this
the
weekend
outcome
before
of,
they get banned. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, so Ferrari need to outscore Red Bull by 19 to stay in it.
Oh, well, Red Bull have done it then,
So Red Bull have basically done
Have
it.
Ferrari scored 19 points in a weekend this year?
A couple of times. They got a couple of wins here and there.
They have, yeah.
But genuinely, it wouldn't surprise me if Red Bull just don't enter and they'd still win the Constructors.
They still do it, yeah. Just don't show up for the last 4 races of the year. Actually, could you do that if you wrapped up the top to try and save on the budget?
They should. That'd be quality. They might actually pass the budget test this year as well if they did that.
Well, imagine how much more they would have gone over the budget cap last year if they actually gave Perez the same upgrades.
Well, they saved a lot. But then it all got undone by Mercedes taking him out in Silverstone and Hungary. So.
Yeah, that old chestnut. Technically, he turned across that McLaren, I think, at Hungary. I mean, really, if we're gonna be consistent on this show, Hungary was actually Fernando Alonso's fault.
What did Alonso do in that?
What didn't he do, Jamie? That's the real question. Sure, I'm gonna get someone comment about me.
You've not mentioned Alonso yet this video, so there's one.
I know. I've been really trying to
Alonso
avoid
counter.
Alonso counters up to 1 this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's run through it then. Top 3 predictions, US Grand Prix. I'm gonna go. What are the scores on the doors? Sorry.
I don't know if you updated it, but just to remind everyone, I got 8 out of 8 last week.
Oh, we did update it last week.
It.
Yeah,
nice. So it's 62 to me and 46 to Matt, which means
16 back.
I
need 2 perfect weekends.
I'm fairly secure of getting a free tweet off Matt's account, of which
you are.
I could do anything. I could get him cancelled.
You could, but I won't tweet it.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, good.
I need to make it so it's not obvious that it's me. Because if I tweet like Guan Yu Zhou is the GOAT, that's obviously going to... Actually, it could be you now.
It is me now. It's because we're best mates, that's why. I ate food in the supermarket with him.
I could mention Rosberg Alonso. That would be quality.
You're really thinking about this too much.
I am.
US Grand Prix predictions.
Yes.
I am going to say... What am I going to say? Oh, I'm going to be a moron. I'm just going to be stupid. Leclerc pole.
Oh, dear.
Verstappen win. Leclerc P2. Perez P3.
Wow. Do you want any... You're the guy who goes into Tesco's and gets a ham sandwich with ready salted crisps.
And a bottle of water for my meal deal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing this week. I need the points desperately. You can take a big risk.
I'm going to go Verstappen pole just to get 2 points.
Oh, wow. What a big risk that is.
I will go... Red Bull have won like 6 in a row. It'd be ridiculous to not go.
Go on, tell me it's a Leclerc win.
No, it's a Verstappen win. I apologise for being boring, but it's a Verstappen win with Hamilton second place.
The King of Kota
ahead of Perez. Actually, no.
Okay.
Ahead of Russell.
Okay. Mercedes double podium out of nowhere, even though they've given up this year.
It's a flat track.
No, it's not.
Well, it's not. It's a smooth surface though. It's very up and down.
It's not particularly great even there, to be honest. But you know what? It's locked in now, so I'm saying Leclerc, Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez. Jamie is saying Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez. No, Hamilton, Russell, sorry. Anything else to add, Jamie, before we wrap this week's show up?
There's a few random rookies in practice, but
there is, isn't there?
Only to tick boxes because there's a new mandate of getting in 2 rookies per year. And interestingly, I believe, Alfa Romeo only need to run Porsche once because they technically ran a rookie in practice in Bahrain.
I don't even think they have to run him once. I think Zhou Guanyu counts anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I think he counts for the first 2 races, and that's all you had to do.
Interesting.
They've got to have taken part in less than 2 Grand Prix, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. Well, there you go.
This has suddenly raised a bit of a question, though, for me.
What's that?
Robert Schwartzman to Haas next year.
I mean, it would make sense because he is FDA, and that seat is still technically FDA. So
exactly. And I think he should have had the call-up anyway in the past.
Well, he beat Zhou in F2, which we hate to mention.
I don't hate to mention that. Actually, no, Zhou and I are good mates now, so... I mean, it's I think if he had a good test, you never quite know.
But yeah, who are the rookies? Porsche, Schwartzman.
You've got Porsche, you've got Schwartzman, you have got Sargent, if I'm not mistaken, and you have got... Oh, this is really going to test my brain. Oh,
It's actually not on the F1 website, so I can't even find out.
I think it's a Red Bull backed one. Let me find. You talk for a second. I think I know where I can locate it.
Yeah, go find it. I don't think it's like an obvious Red Bull one, like Lawson or anyone like that, because I feel like I should know that if it was that.
It is Alex Palau, of course. Sorry,
Alex Palou.
yeah,
Who for McLaren?
McLaren. Yes.
Oh, interesting. Fair enough. Yeah, I think that about wraps us up. I can't see any breaking news on Twitter.
Wonderful.
So that's always helpful.
It always is. Thank you all so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. I've just realised we completely forgot to do the intro to the show, so if you're watching this on YouTube, check us out on Spotify, ever the professionals that we are. But yeah, we will return next week then to recap the goings-on of the US Grand Prix. Thank you all so much for listening. Yeah, we'll return very, very soon with more Knowing Wheel.